I'm in the prison service.
Right. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been told that I have to go to work.
Yes.
Have to.
Well, you are a key worker in the most obvious sense
Yes, I'm a
of the
key
word.
worker. Boris Johnson saying you pay £100. We've all got to self-isolate. We've all got to be strict. But I am working face-to-face with prisoners. I've had urine thrown in my face. I've been spat on the face. So what do I do?
Well,
I'm due back at work next week. I've had a week off, and I've been told that I have to come in.
I mean, I'm not confused about your situation, but I am sympathetic. I want to make that absolutely clear.
So why are you confused?
Because you have to go to work. That is the...
Yeah, but that's unfair. I know what you're saying. It's a bit of a catch-22.
I know it's unfair. Or I know that it feels unfair, which is why I say I have sympathy for you. But there's no confusion, is there? It's like a police officer or a doctor. You can't stay at home.
No.
That's the calculation.
But I've been told, it's okay, we've got gel. Oh, wow, as if gel is going to save my life.
Well, it is. I mean, again, Helen, I say this with love. It could save your life. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
No, not If the virus which is so tiny in microns, it can seep its way into your skin if it's on your finger and you scratch your head. If you've got the correct antiviral gel, or even if you use soap and water is better than gel, because this is the information that is just factual.
Always.
But I can see you thinking, obviously, what's the point washing my hands 100 times a day if someone's going to flob in my face?
Yeah, I've got 2 grandsons, 5 years old, and I see them all the time. So I am worried.
But you can't see them for 12 weeks, Helen.
So obviously you can understand my concerns.
I don't just understand your concerns, I share them. But you can't see the grandsons for 12 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. If you're going into a prison as a key worker, you are...
I didn't know that.
You are necessarily exposing yourself to risk. And every time you see your grandson, especially the one with epilepsy, my love, every time you see them, you'll be exposing them to the risk. It's like you're bringing the risk home. You might not be bringing the virus home.
Joking.
But can I ask you a question? You promise you won't get cross with me?
No.
Who do you rely on normally for your news? Why didn't... And I say this with the most...
Boris Johnson, number one Prime Minister, the Chancellor, and obviously you, LBC.
But you didn't know this about staying away
I didn't, no.
Keeping 2 metres.
Now.
So if you saw your grandchildren, you should have been 2 metres apart already this weekend.
Oh, please.
No, I don't want to upset you and I don't want to hurt you. And I know it was Mother's Day, but my feeds... And my news lines were full of people saying, I can't see you this Mother's Day. And I had pictures on my Facebook of people pressed up against the patio doors to their grandma. Well, you'd recognise that. It'd be like being back at work for you with their hands touching each other. So it's not too late, Helen.
Okay. And my daughter Andrea, she's 37. She's got grand mal epilepsy.
Right.
I mean, do I keep away from her as well?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to.
Okay, it's really unfair, isn't it? How this all got out of hand. It's very unfair.
Yes, I mean, it would have been... We would have been here inevitably at some point. But yes, you're right. The phrase "it all got out of hand" does seem to fit the communication strategies, which have failed miserably. But are you getting PPE? Are you getting your protective equipment? Are you wearing masks at work or anything like that?
Well... like I said, I've had a week off. Right. So when I was at work, no, I didn't. Nothing.
Okay, well...
I was actually touching the handles.
Of course you were. Everybody was, Helen.
And, you got close to close. And the prisoners were sort of messing about, I've got coronavirus, trying to frighten me.
I know. They're like primary school sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm going to have to be 100% careful.
As much as you can. You cannot wash your hands too much. You can't use too much gel, but soap and water is better. And will you promise me, when you wash your hands, you get right into the nooks and crannies and you go right over the wrist. There's some brilliant videos on screen that online where they use black dye and rubber gloves to show you how you have to get everywhere and just keep doing it and then stay away. Stay away from everybody.
Yeah, it's very hard for key workers, isn't it, really?
Helen, it's an absolute horror show. And, I mean, it
really is.
You don't get enough respect and gratitude at the best of times. And God knows what has happened to your profession since Chris Grayling was Justice Secretary. But, yes, this is just horribly unfair. But thank you for doing what you do. Promise me.
Thank you for your advice. I really value that.
Yeah,
completely.
And if anyone is...
It's upsetting, but...
Helen, it is upsetting, but this is what I mean by, being cruel to be kind.
Definitely.
You have to follow the advice. 2 meters between everybody you come into contact with. Stay away from the family. I mean, this applies to everybody, Helen, actually. Maybe I should make this clearer. Everybody should be doing this. It just becomes even more acute for you because you can't avoid risk at work. Everybody else is supposed to be staying at home and staying away from the family and keeping 2 meters between them. And I'm not going to get angry. I don't get angry anymore. I don't know why. It's a mark of... perhaps long-delayed maturity. But if anyone's got a problem with Helen, you come through me, all right? Because she has not received the service, the information, the support that she deserves and needs. So if you want to send me little texts mocking her or deriding her, that's absolutely fine. But that makes you part of the problem, not part of the solution. Here is someone behaving in a way that could be putting herself and her loved ones and everybody else she comes into contact with at risk, and we need together to help her understand the importance of changing her behaviour. So what are you going to do? Call her names? Oh, come on. We're better than this.
We need more people like James O'Brien on the radio giving advice to people. Now, it's a complete disgrace that this lady who works for the prison service wasn't actually given instructions, given training on how to deal with prisoners when we have this outbreak. You know, what are the procedures if you have to deal with prisoners who are entering, leaving their cells, going to the canteen to eat, whatever they have to do? There must be a procedure in order to protect both the prisoners and the prison officers. And why hasn't she received that training? Why hasn't she received the equipment? Okay, she said that she was off for a week, but this should have been also in an email for staff who are not on the job at the moment. Where is this information? Like, we can criticize her, we can say what we like about her, but it's not her that's the problem. The problem is the system. These are people who are in a very difficult situation, dealing with very difficult people. And she gave the example of them joking around or whatever. But the staff who work in the prison service must have the right equipment, they must have the right training, and obviously this hasn't happened. And this opens up the Pandora's box in a way of, you know, we can close down and lock down many places. We can close down shopping centres, churches, parks, gyms, whatever. But there are places that we can't close down. A prison is one of them. Now, there has been stories in Iran of prisoners being released early, or being released temporarily, I should say. Now, I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but at least they're doing something. What is happening in the UK, but not just the UK, what is happening in other countries around Europe also? What is happening in this particular area? Do you know what's happening? I don't know what's happening. And I think it's important that at least we have someone like James O'Brien who's telling her what you need to do. Now, first of all, the idea that she needs to separate herself, stay away from her children and her grandchildren is good advice. But why is she getting it through a phone call on the radio? Why didn't she receive this information from her place of employment? This is insane. You know, you can, as I said, you can lock down all types of different businesses and places of worship or places where people congregate or whatever. But there'll always be a place where you can't lock down, or you forget, or you overlook, or whatever. Also, I read today on Twitter about building sites. The building sites are still open. People are still working on these building sites. They're interacting with each other. They're touching each other. They're sitting down together to eat lunch, or they're sitting in a building or outside. They're interacting perhaps with the public. They're moving around. There's no lockdown regarding the building sites. So the lockdown began in the UK, it's beginning at the moment officially. But what does it include? What's happening in prisons? What's happening in building sites? Let me know in the comments, guys, what you understand from this if you know something that I don't know. But it's important that, once again, people who work, for example, in the prison service, that they have the right tools and the right equipment and the right training in order to deal with this. Thanks.